guys have been having fun either. You did.
Yo, what's good, Rudy Gang? It's Jay Rudy back with another video, and it is already 2019. This is crazy, man. 2018 flew by so fast. It was ridiculous, but there were some crazy things that happened this year. So I'm gonna give a nice recap on what I thought was the best and the worst of fashion in 2018. Now, first, before we get started, you already know what you gotta do. You gotta go follow the Instagram, man. It's 2019, so we gotta run the Instagram up. Go spam my likes, I'll see it, and I'll go maybe like some of your pictures back and everything, but go ahead and check out my Instagram. Last thing I need you guys to do is, if you support the channel and you want to see more growth in 2019, I need you guys to go down and hit that subscribe button. Also, hit the like button because it boosts the channel tremendously. So moving on into the video, we're gonna start off with the things that I thought were the best this year. There were a lot of it. There's not really a lot of bad that happened this year, now that I think about it, but we are gonna go over some things that I just didn't care for. So starting off with the best, we're gonna hop right into the brands. Now, one of the brands that really took off this year, in my opinion, was Prada. It's probably on majority of people's list when you think of what brands did really well this year. Prada made a huge run this year, especially taking over with things like accessories and bucket hats, little side bags and all that stuff. So Prada really went crazy this year. They also made a huge leap when it came to experimenting with different patterns. You had like those banana patterns, you had flames, you had black and white mixed with color. Like, it was just a bunch of stuff this year. Oh yeah, the neon too. Can't forget the neon. That was crazy. It was like a whole wave. You had different people like Kanye, A$AP Rocky. Just a bunch of people were rocking like that neon Prada wave. Another brand that I think was very successful this year was Undercover. They were somehow able to find their way into the mainstream, especially with collaborations with Nike. They had the, what shoe was it? It was the React Element 87, and that shoe just was like crazy. That collab, I think they had like what, was it like 4 different colorways? But that was like one of the like most anticipated releases this year, and it just was everywhere. Undercover also was able to make a bunch of dope pieces, especially with their fall 2018 coming into play. So everything was like, you know what I'm saying, lined up right for Undercover this year. So that's definitely a top brand. Third on the list of brands, you definitely have to include Off-White, just because Off-White was a brand that was able to make it all the way to the top of like majority of streetwear brands and like high fashion brands, I guess you can say. And just having it being from like, it's been like literally like 2 years since the brand has really been like popping. So for it to reach that #1 spot that fast is kind of crazy. So now, one of the brands that I wanted to talk about that I feel like is going to be on the uprise, they've been rising up later this year, and I think they're going to especially take off in 2019, probably in the mainstream easily, but is Ambush by Yoon. Now, Ambush had their pieces already, and they have a nice like Helvetica print, not print, but logo. And that logo is just one of those things where you can just see it being on anything and having a good look. Like, it's not too much. It's really nice and clean, which is usually the way it goes for most Helvetica screen printed things. But Ambush did a collab with Nike, which really took them off, broke them into a more mainstream. I don't think it's as mainstream in like the US as it is in maybe like the UK and stuff like that, but Ambush is definitely one of those brands that's going to take off. Now, moving on into the next topic, we have influencers. Influencers are a super huge piece when it comes to the streetwear culture and the fashion culture, just because these are quote unquote like the tastemakers, and these are the people that are wearing the clothes that these designers are making and making everything popular. Now, the first person that I do want to name, like I said, he had a tremendous year being the menswear designer for Louis Vuitton and having Off-White being at the #1 list of streetwear brands. But it's Virgil Abloh, of course, and I just think he was able to take the culture and kind of shape and mold it into his own thing and make it more of a blend between high-end and streetwear culture. Now, next is somebody that you've probably seen a lot more often now, but is Aleli May, and she has been like all into everything when it comes to high-end designer, creating different shoes. She actually made, I don't know if this was like the second, I believe this was like the second collab that she had, but she made a shoe with Jordan Brand, a couple of them. I know she had the satin ones, they were like black and white, and now she has this multicolored joint that just dropped not too long ago with a basketball player, Maya Moore, I think it was. So that was a cool collaboration, and just seeing her style and just the way she kind of like moves through the fashion industry was just fun to watch. She honestly, I get a lot of influence from her just because her style is crazy, but seeing a woman and seeing her being able to fit in so well into this quote unquote like streetwear culture, which is for everybody, but like I feel like a lot of times like we leave the girls out when it comes to like hardcore streetwear and like shoes and I don't know, you guys get what I'm trying to say. Next up in that same kind of uprising category, we got Bloody Osiris. Now Bloody Osiris of course has always been on the scene, but I think this year was his break into the actual fashion industry. We see him working with people like Off-White and Virgil. Obviously he has a bit more of a connection with Virgil, but we've seen him do different things and right along with Ray's Corrupted Mind into working with Travis Scott. So that was a huge step in my opinion, just seeing from where he kind of started and seeing now to how much he's grown within the fashion industry is just crazy to me. So definitely had to throw Bloody O in there. Now next in the influencer category, I wanted to include Tyler the Creator because I feel like he's really pushing this wave of new kind of old man or dad vibes, which obviously this whole dad thing has kind of been a wave, but I think he just makes this new classy look kind of something for everybody, especially with pushing the golfer floor line and everything like that. He just has a wide range of cardigan sweaters, like Kango hats, and just a bunch of things that I think is just one of those vibes that if he wasn't doing it, like nobody else would probably be on that wave. So definitely got to give him his props. Last on the influencer list, we have Luka Sabbat. Now if this was like 2016, I probably would have put him in this category again, but I think this year he separated himself from only being streetwear or like the cool model kid. This year I feel like he grown a lot and he was able to break into acting, be seen with like these higher A-list celebrity people, and I think overall his impact and the way he was able to maneuver through things and break out of the fashion culture was really dope to watch, because like being into one thing is cool, but like when you're able to use that one thing to break into something else and have both of them just like sitting in your pot, you know what I'm saying? It's very dope to watch. Like I said, he ventured out and did Hot Mess, which was his own little creative project with Dylan. I forget his last name, but that whole like thing was just dope to watch. And yeah. Oh yeah, and I can't forget another person on the list. I probably don't even have to say his name at this point, but like his style is crazy. His creativity is crazy. He makes like content and you know what I'm saying, it's so great. And I'm not even gonna say his name, you should probably know who it is already, but yeah, let's move on. Now moving on into the next topic, we have the trendiest items. This is pretty much everything that I've seen people wear that I was like, okay, everybody's on that wave. Let me throw that in the list. So some of it is kind of obvious, but I do have some more newer trends that I think are kind of late 2018-ish, so we're gonna get into those first. So moving on into the newer trends, we have this ski mask wave, which everybody is kind of playing a part into. Gucci made a ski mask. I forget what the exact name of the model was, I'll put it up, but everybody is pretty much hopping on this wave, and I think it's really dope. But is it an everyday thing to wear? Probably not. You probably don't want to run around looking like you're gonna rob somebody. Obviously these are more patterns, so you shouldn't have that type of discrimination, you know, but I would just play it safe. But nonetheless, this is cool. I think this sort of wave carries more into the higher fashion world. We have like Calvin Klein making it as well, but I think it just looks dope. Now you can also just buy these ski masks and roll them up as a beanie, which actually looks pretty fire. The first person I really like seen doing that was probably like Playboy Cardi. I know I see like a lot of his concert pictures, and obviously you probably would get too hot wearing a ski mask, but I always see him like roll it up and it looks really fire. Like he just has a bunch of like material just like in his, yeah, anyway. Playing off that same head covering type of vibe, you also have scarves. Now, I've seen a lot of people kind of do this layering of scarves. They'll put it under their hat. And it's cool to see, and it gives a flair to the outfit, which isn't so much like a ski mask where it's like secured onto your face, but it has like that overall kind of like cool, classy, just chilling scarf type of a vibe. Now next on the trend list we have dad shoes. Now obviously in 2017 that was already a thing, but I think that it just carried over to this year and was still a staple. But I think the difference is, instead of it being something that we just were seeing like Balenciaga do with the triple S's, now you have everybody's making their own version of the bulky shoe. So now you have different people like Fila's were making bulkier shoes, you have Pumas. Just a lot of people were just like, okay, let's put our own twist on it. This is the hottest item right now. So now earlier in this year, which it doesn't even seem like it was this year, but chest rigs was like a huge thing. We seen it first on people like Ian Connor and Kanye West wearing the Aleek's chest bag. After that happened, like everybody was making their version of it. There were the ones on Amazon that everybody pretty much had access to. So it kind of was like a whole wave for a quick second. Still going on now, but I think it's one of those things that is more of a summer thing, just because when you have just a t-shirt on, like you kind of want another accessory, and everybody needs a bag. So it's a cool trend. I think it might not be as useful maybe in 2019, just because I think it's kind of like a meme now. Well, not a meme, but just like everybody did it, so it's kind of like washed out. But I don't know, we'll see. Now this next thing really isn't a trend at all, nor is it new. Some people might kill me in the comments for this, but I think this year was one of those years that made bootlegging acceptable in the streetwear culture, because bootlegging used to be like, oh, that's fake, whatever. But I think now we kind of like opened our mind to the creativity that you can use off bootlegging, especially with these all over monogram prints with like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and stuff like that, that we know are like clearly not real. But I think just being able to play on those kind of different brands without taking it too serious, like definitely pushes the agenda, I guess you could say. Now last for the tops, we have collaborations, and first I'm gonna just run through a couple of collaborations that I just thought were really dope this year, and they were those collaborations that didn't really seem forced. So starting off with Matthew Williams and Nike. Now this was probably one of those collaborations that we all seen the surface pictures of and was like, yo, that was like a perfect collaboration. Nike being this kind of athletic but simple techie type of brand fits perfectly with Aleek Studios, just because we all know Aleek has all these straps and all these different buckles, and that was right up Nike's alley. Like everything they needed was just like, okay, boom, now we have this like sportswear type of streetwear. Like, I don't know, it was just cold. Now this next collaboration was one of those that we all knew were gonna be successful, but it worked really well, and they actually did have some dope pieces that came out of it, and that is the Supreme and Comme des Garçons collab. Now there's not too much to say. If you've been following anything about streetwear within the past year, you know about the collaboration between Supreme and Comme des Garçons. This year I think they just had a bunch of dope pieces with the split stitching hoodies, split stitch on the Nike shoe, and they had also the all over print, I think it was a jacket, but everything was like really clean. Like if you were to buy Supreme, even if you didn't like Supreme, you would still probably see this collaboration and be like, that's fire. So the last one on my list that I thought worked really well was the Palace and Ralph Lauren collab. Now I wasn't able to obtain anything from this collab, but I was able to see it out when I went to New York. But overall, I just think that this collab was really clean. Neither Palace or Ralph Lauren had to reach too far out of their box to make this collab look really good. So now this moves me into the worst of fashion in 2018, and it's still playing off of collaborations, because I do think this year was one of those years where I felt like there were a lot of pointless collaborations that we just seen. It was like, yo, at this point it was like almost like brands were running out of ideas, so they were like, oh, this is hot, but this is a new idea, let's put the two together. So I just thought there were just a lot of them, and I don't even have any right off the top. I'll put pictures up and everything, but it just was just collabs that you were like, okay, like, yeah, that's cool, but let's move on to the next one. So the last thing on the worst category that I was kind of just like, yo, what is this? And it was from earlier this year when Balenciaga released the double shirt. Now this is when they had the polo, or not a polo, but the button-up shirt with another button-up shirt on top of it. Maybe I missed the joke or the concept of it, but that made no sense. Like, I don't even, like, was anybody actually wearing that piece? Like, yeah. But besides that, like, this was a good year for streetwear and fashion, and I just think that there wasn't much wrong. So that's the only two things that I remembered off top that was like, yeah, okay. But overall, like I said, it was a great year. Great year for me as well. You know what I'm saying? I've been working with some different brands and expanding myself and just, you know what I'm saying, doing my thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are having a good year so far. I hope you have goals and everything that you're about to kill this year in 2019. We gonna keep growing. The gang gonna keep growing. We just gonna be big time this year, man. Appreciate you guys for supporting last year, but we gotta go crazier this year, man. So go down, hit that subscribe button, like the video, all that good stuff, and I'll be back to you guys with more, man.
Sprite bottle mixed lean, crispy, chillin' with Dex, in the lamb, try lit. Sprite bottle mixed, swag, fit.